Well, if you are ready to start the next session, the next speaker is Stanisław Iwaniszewski, and I think he is here. Hello, are you there?
Hello, hello.
Okay, well, we invite him because he's a specialist in Mesoamerican cultures. So the idea was to talk about the Mayan, but I don't know exactly about what will be the talk, but I know it's about the equinox. Well, Stanisław is a researcher, a professor. He worked at the Escuela Nacional de Antropología e Historia in Mexico, in the UNAM, I think, in the Institute of... No, not UNAM, not UNAM.
In National Institute for Anthropology and History.
And History, that's right. And well, I think he shared the time between Mexico and Poland, right?
Yes, sir.
And well, today we have the pleasure to hear the talk. It's about the equinox for whom? Meaning of the equinox in Mexico. Please, your stage.
Thank you very much. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So let's go to other side of the Atlantic. And first, we must discuss a little what does it mean, the equinox, because in different cultures, the knowledge of astronomical movements was very different. And we cannot rely on the Western concept of equinox, which was developed in principle by the Greek early astronomy. So if we accept the astronomical definition of the equinox, it means that the sun is at the declination, or more or less very nearly to 0 degree, which means that we can observe the rising or setting sun along the horizon during the whole year, and we will see that it will move day by day towards the south, towards the north, reaching the solstitial extrema. So it is relatively easy to fix these points, but then it goes rather quickly around the astronomical or geographical directions of east, due east and due west, which means that the azimuth is around 90 degrees or 270. And it goes very fast. So it is not a very popular concept to have an equinox. It depends on different definitions. So which are the popular ways to define this point? One, of course, is that we took the distance between the rising or setting points of the sun on the horizon at solstitial extremes, and then we can divide in two in space. So we have this situation that the sun can be just in the mid of two solstitial points. But another definition of equinox is that it will just measure in time the equal distance between the dates of both equinoxes. So we will have, unfortunately, because of the different movement of the speed of the Earth's trajectory around the sun, of course, we have inequality of the length of the seasons, and this movement from June 21 to December 21 or 22, the dates of the solstitial points will be quite different than whether we move on the other direction between December 21, 22 to June 21. But anyway, we can speak about two different concepts of equinoxes, which one would be a spatial one, dividing the distance between the solstitial extremes equally in two, or the other, dividing the time which needs the sun moving along the horizon to be in the midpoint. You can see here that accepting that it is the astronomical horizon, it means the height, the elevation of the horizon is 0 degree. The positions of the temporal, spatial equinox will be quite different. Of course, we can deal with these kinds of astronomical horizons only in the sea or in desert, but normally we live in undulating landscapes. There are small hills, there are mountains, there are passes, and the horizon is not even equal. So if we base on the spatial definition of equinox, then we will have some distortion of this, because the distance to one of the solstices may be a little bit shorter than to another due to different horizon elevations. I must first say that in Mesoamerica, we don't have astronomical texts defining exactly what the term equinox is, but we can infer their meanings, the meanings of the pre-Hispanic people who populated Mesoamerica from the times of the path of the human race through the Bering Strait. So they had different concepts of the movement of the stars and the movement of the luminaries. On the other side, I must also say that we are speaking about the tropical astronomy, so the trajectories of the luminaries are almost vertical. They're not vertical, it will be seen only on the equator, but they are very, very steep. And a lot of you who are living in northern or southern latitudes, you see the trajectories of the celestial bodies tangential to the horizon line. So we can now move to the studies that research alignments of different pre-Hispanic ceremonial and administrative structures. We can, from the archoastronomical research, we can draw the conclusion that the people in Mesoamerica were interested in a different kind of equinox, which is called here temporal, definition of equinox. Here is the area of Mesoamerica, the cultural and the geographical territory, which goes from the northern part of Mexico to the countries across the Belize, Guatemala states, some parts of Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and reaches even some territories in Costa Rica. So it is not identical with the concept of Central America. Central America starts with the east of Tehuantepec, southward. It, of course, is not Middle America, which is going to north. The area of Mesoamerica is going to the north. And it is a territory where the cultures of Olmecs, Zapotecs, Mayans, Mixtecs, Totonacs, Toltecs, and Aztecs, to name only some of them, once flourished. The history of these cultures ended in the 16th century when the Spaniards slowly conquered the whole continent. Quiquilco is one of these places. This is in the central part of Mexican Altiplano. Today it is situated inside a big city called Mexico City. Unfortunately, it is imprisoned by the developing city. You can see that the archaeological site of Quiquilco is inserted into different inhabitants sectors of the population who are looking more space to construct their houses. It is totally lost. We can see the pyramid, the highest pyramid of this pre-Hispanic site, is not very high enough. And today it makes a lot of problems because due to the hazy and smoke atmosphere, we cannot even perceive the astronomical events occurring just on the horizon line. You can see that it's a permanent haze and smoke, and you cannot see well the horizon. Anyway, this pyramid was built around 800 BC, and it was still in use when the volcano started to erupt just south of the city of Quiquilco. There is a Schittler volcano, and it obliged the people to emigrate to Teotihuacan, another famous Hispanic site. From this circular basement, we can watch the astronomical phenomena. It is the horizon line. Eastern, we have here the ridge of mountains, the Sierra Nevada mountains, with a peak of Iztaccíhuatl, one of the biggest, highest peaks, reaching over 5,000 meters atop above the sea level. But in the middle of this horizon is a small figure of Cerro Papayo, Mount Papayo, which is just situated in front of the pyramid to show the sunrises on the date of March 23. So if we have the whole chain of the mountains, we can find where the solstitial points are. You can see that the sun is not climbing the Popocatépetl. It is just below the Popocatépetl, famous volcano in Mexico. And just in the half side of this ridge, we have Cerro Papayo with its almost circum-equinoctial orientation. So we will have the interesting concordance of days. I only put here the date of December 22 of the December solstice and March 23.